Hey everyone, I'm superphiz from the ETH Staker community, and I'm here with my dear friend Ben Edgington.
Hey Fizz, nice to talk to you again. Yeah, I was just saying it's nearing 100 of your Fahrenheits here, which is getting up towards 40 degrees. So I'm melting a little bit. We're not built for
Wow.
this in Britain, but
Yeah.
yeah. So if you see beads of sweat on my brow, this is why.
Then I'll know you're working hard.
That's right. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, because you're giving me such a hard time,
Yeah.
as usual.
So Ben and I get together fortnightly to discuss his What's New in ETH2 newsletter. And I continue to get a lot of pushback about ETH2. And in this context, ETH2 essentially means unimplemented research in Ethereum. It is not a different token, a different chain. It is Ben's choice to develop his newsletter in using a term that describes unimplemented research. Would you say that's
Future.
fair?
It's the future of Ethereum,
I
and
love
it
that.
begins with a merge, but it goes way beyond that, to my mind. And yeah, I mean, I've been writing this newsletter for 4 years under that name. I'm not going to change it now, so people just have to live with it.
So. I'm now I'm okay with it, and I'm like embracing it, supporting it. So I'm glad to have you writing it. So let me switch to newsletter view. How do I do this? I rarely have to run my own stuff, and then I forget how to do it. Oh, okay, it is here. Yes. All right.
Lovely. Yep.
So Ben and I, Ben is a developer for Eth2. He's also someone who does a great job of keeping like the broad picture of what's going on in Ethereum. And I'm a community member who's engaged in what's going on, and I try to inform the community and try to kind of connect the developers with the people who aren't developers. And I do that a lot through ETH Staker. This newsletter turns out to be a great bridge for those two things. And so that's why we get together and just sort of chat about it. Did I do that right?
Let's chat.
I felt good about it. Yeah. So we're doing What's New in ETH2 for the 15th of July, 2022. And so that was actually the end of last week. Today it's July 18th. So when you see this, it's not 3 days old. We're just talking about it today, July 18th. And gosh, it feels like, okay, I have to acknowledge it is because of the merge date, but it really feels like everything is just sort of coming together at one time. Do you get that? Is that a
Yeah, well, we've been waiting for this for so long, and people have been so resistant to putting a date, even an idea, a general target of a date, within plus or minus like 3 months or something. Yeah. That actually to have something out there, however soft and squidgy the date may be, however uncommitted to it we are, the mere fact that we've said, publicly, here is a possible target date for delivering this merge that we've been waiting for 6-7 years now, is extraordinary. And yeah, it really focuses the minds because it's not very far away.
It's so interesting to frame it that way. I'm finally at the point where if we don't hit like September, if we don't merge in September, which I believe that we will, that's going to be the time that I'm ready to say the merge has been delayed. Because prior to this, it has all been speculation. It has all been putting parts together. And now that we have kind of like a tentative timeline, now it's time to say, if we miss those dates, then, certainly I don't want people to panic, but it is a suggestion that we would have been delayed for some causal reason. Something that I didn't want people to pull out of the bag early and say, well, you didn't do it in May, so you've been delayed.
Yeah. I mean, it gets a bit into technicalities, doesn't it? What's really a delay? And technically, we've never announced a date, so technically, we're not delayed. But I kind of side with Evan Van Ness a little on this. That's just kind of sophistry, play with words, really. We'd all hoped to deliver this thing much earlier. So whether we'd said it or not.
Well, I guess Evan has decided that he's going to do a user-activated soft fork if the developers don't. So one way or the other, the merge is going to happen, right?
It's happening.
So let's get into this. That's like the second time I've used Anthony Sestano's words. So AMA number 8 was this week. What you
Yeah,
think of that?
I haven't fully digested it, to be honest. I've read through some of the top topics. The sort of character of these has changed a bit over the few years that they've been doing them. But yeah, very much enjoying seeing the answers. We haven't heard from Justin Drake for a while, so good to see that he's Bob the Sponge one is still around and still engaged. And some really good questions and thoughtful answers. So yeah, it's a treasure trove if you want to see where we're going with the protocol post merge. There's a lot of good stuff in there.
Yeah, what is your interpretation that, like, you say the character of it has changed? What do you mean?
It seems to be just a bit more sort of thoughtful and long form than it used to be. Maybe I'm sort of mischaracterizing or misremembering it, but see, there's more sort of focus to it and less noise. It looks like now. So these are good sessions.
I loved that Danny, Justin, and Vitalik all kind of, for many of these questions, gave their own nuanced perspective. And it would be so easy for them to sit behind closed doors and say, this is going to be our party line. But instead, they independently shared their perspectives. And well, I don't think they clashed. They did show different research perspectives. And I thought that was just really cool to see.
Yeah, and that's great. I mean, that's really important, isn't it? I mean, I think it shows that the Ethereum Foundation isn't a dictatorship, but it's independent researchers who kind of come under this banner and they have different viewpoints, and we thrash it out, you know, what the future looks like, and that's the Ethereum way.
And not to go into that too long, but that is so my favorite thing about Vitalik is that he does not want to own Ethereum, that he very willingly encourages and promotes other people to step up to those leadership roles. And like, I don't know, it just impresses me so much for a young person to have that much awareness of like the right role. It's just very cool.
Yeah, totally. And again, super important for Ethereum not to have, you know, one single point of failure, one person who generates all the ideas and dictates the direction. We're a long way from that now. There are, you know, there's a number of big brains who, you know, contribute very actively to the whole thing. And if one of them goes off and does something completely different, you know, we trundle on, we keep on chugging.
Yeah. What is this? Finally uttered a potential merge date in public. In case you missed it, September 19th.
So this came out of the
week of. I have to say the week of. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah. This came out of the consensus devs call on last. Yes, a footnote at the bottom there.
Sorry.
September 2022. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was Buddha's comment. Tim didn't say a year.
So this came out of the consensus devs call on Thursday last week. We had agreed on the last all core devs call, we'd set a TTD, terminal total difficulty, which is a target date for the Gurley network merge and potentially for mainnet merge on that call, and the call progressed on Thursday, and a date was not mentioned. We didn't get around to the Gurley TTD, and then Danny jumped in and said, we haven't done this yet. And I actually, at that moment, I had my finger on the unmute button to jump in and say exactly the same thing. So very pleased that Danny got there first, but that held Tim's feet to the fire a bit in terms of actually committing to something. So and you know, I was happy with the way that the conversation went. So really, we're juggling a number of things. We've got to get the Gurley network merge done. That's got to go well. We've got to leave enough time after that to be sure that it's working before mainnet gets merged. And you know, there are various processes in terms of updates, setting TTDs for the networks and so on that we need to do. I haven't enumerated everything here. What are you looking for?
I was looking for your notes from the call. I was going to scroll to that timeline, but it didn't go where I thought it would.
If you go further down, They are linked to under, keep going down, is towards the end, and then I've got the regular calls section, and you should be able to.
Oh, you mean all the way down to the notes?
Yeah. You should be able to click through.
Notes from Tim. There.
Keep going.
Consensus devs, my quick
That's
notes.
it. Yep.
Yeah, okay, sorry. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah,
There
so
we
these
go.
were taken at the time as the meeting was in progress, so not they're a bit terse and don't capture the full conversation, but yeah, so we do client releases within the next week or so for Gurley and Prata networks. So a TTD has been chosen today for that network merge. So we're taking the Prata testnet, which already exists on the Beacon chain, and we're taking the Gurley testnet, which is sort of proof of authority network, not proof of work. And we're going to merge those. That's the next step. So there will be announcements of the client availability, that everything's ready and we're good to go towards the end of the month, 28th to 29th. These dates are slightly changed, I think, on reconsideration. So I think we're looking to do the Bellatrix update on Prata around the 4th of August now, targeting that, if I recall correctly. So that just prepares the Beacon chain side for the merge. So it's basically, a hard fork of the Beacon chain. And then about a week later, around the 10th or 11th, the TTD, we expect the TTD to be reached, targeting between 9th and 11th of August. So that's the Gurley network. And that's a sort of balance between client teams being ready. I think all the consensus teams, feel very ready, but on the execution side, Nethermind, we're kind of asking for a little bit longer on the call and so on. So I think they're feeling we need to sort of do Gurley merge as late as possible without moving the mainnet merge too late, because otherwise we get into DevCon and all that. So
Yeah.
so there's sort of a balance here of timing. And then, assuming that goes well, we won't hang around and wait for the next all-call devs call. We'll call an irregular one immediately and say, okay.
Which does not happen. That's exciting.
Yeah. I mean, it seems pointless to delay the merge by 2 weeks just because, we're not in sync with the all-call devs call next. So this is crazy. So I'm sure we can get people together. They have been done weekly in the past ahead of big upgrades and things. No, it's not unprecedented.
I'm excited that we have an actual TTD for Gurley. I think it was Gurley cheddar. Was it the was that the
aged
hardest
cheddar?
Aged cheddar. So that's pretty firm. And releasing a TTD makes it.
We're in Parmesan territory, yeah.
I don't know ungraded. I guess that is a very okay. I'm just looking for concrete. Give me some concrete cheese. So yeah, that's all very exciting. I know this is the news. It's obviously the news the markets have been waiting for, because the markets woke up. And
you think there's a link? I mean, I love these headlines that say, ETH price up as merge date. That it's not necessary. They're not saying merge date caused it, but they're drawing a kind of correlation between the two. I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know.
Really?
It's up against BTC, right?
I feel strongly, and you're right. So we have this whole does the price drive the narrative, or does the narrative drive the price? But I feel again, it's just my gut feeling that this news is kind of. It kind of puts everything into gear, where people who may have been on the sidelines are now saying, I don't want to miss my chance to be in on ETH before the merge, because I don't want to get left behind. So we'll see, right? We'll see. Just imagine, I don't want to put a negative spin on this, but imagine it being successful.
That's all that I imagine, and then it will come true.
Sepolia is quite interesting.
So that was the last testnet we merged. This is a little while ago now, 2 weeks ago. And I mean, you were there, you were on the call. Anthony Sassano was hosting this time. It was a much shorter call than the Ropston one, which was a relief, I have to say. And because of timing, I mean, so, you know, there was a lot of work done in the background to kind of manipulate the hash rate on Sepolia to get us to TTD around the right time. And incredibly, I only realized this after the event, it was hit within 24 seconds of the stated target, which is extraordinary.
Wildly impressive. Yeah.
Yes, some genius hash rate tuning going on by the Ethereum Foundation team there. So yeah, and so I always feel, I've said this before, I think, Fizz, that I always feel a bit deflated with these things, because we sit around and you want to kind of say it's happened and we're all cheering, we're popping the champagne, and you know it's all brilliant. But it's not like that, because there isn't really, we have to wait for finality to be sure it's happened. And even then, there's always something, like there's some missing blocks, or there's some drop in the participation rate, or there's something weird going on we need to investigate. And it may be fine and it may be not fine, and it's kind of hard to tell. So there's always this kind of feeling that, well, I don't know if we should celebrate or not celebrate, which is a bit weird. On this case, we saw on Sepolia, network participation dropped to about 70%. So we lost, so 5% of the network was offline. Well, there weren't any validators. The keys had been generated, but they're somewhere they've been lost on the way. I don't know what the story is there, but so 95% participation was the maximum we could expect. So about 25% of the network did not make it through the merge event. So participation dropped to about 70%. Which is enough to finalize, but yeah, you know, we're missing you know, a quarter of the blocks on the network, which is not great. Still making progress, but you know, not running at full capacity. And it turned out to be that the entire 25% of missing validators turned out to be due to user error in configuring them by client teams and other professionals, by and large, which is embarrassing, right?
You know, I don't want to think of it as embarrassing. It's a testament to how complicated it can be. Like, these are people who know how to run the clients. And I guess it's a double override for that TTD. It's good that everyone recognizes the complexity of that TTD override, because it's something that needs to be engineered away, I guess.
Yeah, that's definitely worth stating, that there's been a different process on these proof of work test nets than there will be for mainnet, and it's a more complex process because the hash rate on these test nets is very low, because they're just not worth mining. There's nothing to gain. Because it's very low, it's very easy to manipulate. So we had a situation on Ropsten where a miner brought the that made the network reach TTD before the Bellatrix fork had happened, which is pointless, really. Everything breaks in that situation. Can never happen on mainnet. The hash rate on mainnet is so huge that there just is not enough hash power in the world to manipulate the approach to TTD like that. So we can simplify the mainnet thing, and we've talked at length about how we can make the user experiences under the circumstances as simple as possible, whilst trying to be as safe as possible for the network. And I think we agreed an approach at the last core devs meeting.
Yeah, I have wondered, will we see minor shenanigans for mainnet? And my theory is that the number of people withdrawing hash will equal the number of people adding hash, and it will look pretty consistent. But
yeah, it should be economically motivated, right? You know, if miners leave, other miners come and take their place, because the rewards, you know, go up proportionately.
I don't know how much you follow mining, but I think a 6 gig DAG is about to be outdated. Isn't that about to happen?
Is it 5 gig or 6 gig? I can't remember, but yes, that's right. A bunch of very old kit may drop off. There have been some estimates of how much it might be, something like 10% of hash rate or something like that. But yeah, I'm not in the detail on that, but I'm aware something is afoot.
Yeah, I guess I'll look at that later, but very interesting. So yes, so glad to get Sepolia out. Thank you, Anthony Sassano, for hosting that.
Yeah, and just oh, go on.
Oh, you first.
Just to close that one off, after everybody came back from the misconfigurations, everything's been fine. It's been running very smoothly. So it's all good.
The thing that I need to say is this should inform us for both Gurley and mainnet. that the call that we host is a community celebration. It is, we've come this far. Let's celebrate when we hit TTD and transfer to proof of stake, but let's not draw conclusions from that event, because we really won't know for several hours and potentially even till the next day how successful we are. That's what Beacon Chain will go down. No offense, that they're a fantastic product, but the explorers will go down. Reporting will fail. And so it's so impossible to tell in the fog of war what's working and what isn't.
Yeah, we need better tools. Beacon Chain's fabulous, but it does have a bit of a track record on the merge stuff. I think as EF have been sort of self-hosting it and haven't provisioned it quite enough. But it is a good reminder, Fizz, that I've been seeing again the last couple of weeks, people saying, oh, we need to be in a position where the merge is flawless, and that is just not the case. I mean, the chain is designed to be resilient. It is designed to degrade gracefully, and subject to not losing. Even if we lose more than 33% of the nodes, as long as they're back online in a few hours, nothing serious will happen. The chain might be unavailable for a little while, but it should still make progress. People can decide what they want to do about finality, but it doesn't need to be flawless. Even losing 20% of the nodes would be a success. It would be absolutely fine.
Is it you who's been saying that if we wait to merge until it's flawless, that we've waited too long? Is that your quote?
That's not from me, but okay. I definitely endorse that view. Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. Mainnet Shadowforks. Now those have been having some hiccups.
So they've been chugging along in the background. Shadowfork 8 went very well, so nothing to report there. Shadowfork 9 had a bunch of issues that Parry recounted on the consensus call. Just a sort of bunch of things coming together, which are sort of being fixed, and once they're fixed, the network recovered. I don't know what to say about that, really. I'm not sure what lessons learned. Parry said he's learned not to mess up the configuration of the Nimbus nodes.
I love that. So Parry gets everything right. Like he's a master. And so when you see the master make a goof up, you're like, oh well, he's human too. So I appreciate all that he has done for the DevOps. It's really impressive what he brings.
Absolutely. But other issues were client bugs of different sorts, which are not specifically merge related, but were things which the merge exacerbates. So they're sort of latent client issues. Bessu's had an issue for months now about very occasionally having a concurrency issue that makes the state invalid. So it corrupts your database fundamentally. And it seems that Nethermind has had a similar issue around caching states. And these things have been in the clients presumably for a long time. But there's something about the way that the merge works. So when you switch to having the consensus layer client driving the execution client, it's not used to being driven, and it's being told to do things it doesn't normally do, like switch from this fork to this fork, evaluate this block on this fork, evaluate that block on the other fork, and it wouldn't normally have to go through these gymnastics. And this is revealing things like it seems like Nethermind had a cache invalidation issue or something, which was surfaced more frequently by being in this merge configuration. So it's normal and part and parcel of debugging nodes and things, and it's good these issues are showing up on the test nets. They can be fixed, and hopefully we'll see the early merge go sweetly.
Yeah, my takeaway from Nethermind, Aragon, and Besu is I am not quite ready to stand on the mountaintops and say we need full client diversity for execution layer yet. I do look forward to that in the future. Personally, I'm not ready for that yet. But what we really do need are people who have the skill to monitor and the ability to run those nodes and keep them included in the network. There does need to be a strong representation, because we have to acknowledge, as hardened as Geth is, if Geth experiences a fault, we do need those backup clients to maintain the network. And so that's a very important and valuable responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely. I am looking forward to spinning up my Besu node, but I'm just sort of hanging fire for a couple more weeks just to give them a chance to sort out some lingering issues. They've got something around syncing and peer scoring, and this database corruption thing is a bit smelly. So just hanging fire for a couple of weeks, and then I'll crank up a Besu node, and hopefully it'll all be good.
Do you plan to merge your home nodes with Besu? Is that?
Yeah, that's the plan. I can hardly do otherwise, but yeah, if but if I'm not confident that it's going to be fully reliable by the merge, then I'll fall back to something else. But yeah,
I think it's I don't this is just Fizz's opinion, but I think it's okay for some people to take that risk and say, I may go offline. There's a higher likelihood I'll go offline at the merge if I'm running one of these other clients, but it's also hedging the bet that if Geth goes offline, then they might be the ones who carry the network. So like we do need to have people who are able to take that risk. It's not a significant risk at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the usual downtime thing. If you're offline for a bit, you suffer some penalties. You're not going to get slashed. You can be back up and running. It's a bit harder to get back up and running. If you're just running a consensus client, then you can do a checkpoint sync and be running again in a few minutes. But if you have to resync your whole ETH1 node, then that's going to be a bigger challenge. But yeah,
this gets me back to wanting to configure Dirk and Vouch. Like I haven't, and it's crazy because if anybody should, like me as I represent, all of those for the community, like I ought to have Dirk and Vouch configured. But the fact that I haven't is kind of a suggestion. It's a little still out of reach for mere mortals, but
yeah. So Vouch is about validator redundancy, but also optimizing the rewards. So you basically multiplex your clients so that you can choose the one that gives the best block or best attestation in any circumstance. And Dirk is the distributed key management, right?
That's right. Yes. And I pair them together because Jim pairs them together, but I think that Vouch is really all I would need to set up. I just haven't made a priority.
Yeah, if you've got the hardware for it and the bandwidth for it, then and the time to kind of set it up and manage it, this is a great solution. I did see some interesting. So somebody sent me a comparison between a staking operation that's using Vouch and a staking operation that's using just Teku, and the one using Vouch was able to get 0.1% higher rewards overall, so 1,000th. Which surprised me, actually. I thought it would be more than that advantage. And they've got all the clients running and they're picking the best block and attestation. So putting my Teku product manager hat on, I'm super happy that we're within 1,000th of the absolute optimal configuration if you just run Teku. But of course, you get the advantage of the redundancy, so that if one fails, if one has a consensus bug, then you've got the fallback to the others, and Vouch will handle that for you.
And I do think that is, while it's definitely a low likelihood risk, it is the thing that we need to be most prepared for. That one of the clients, especially one of the larger clients, will experience some kind of consensus bug. But yeah, I think we'll be fine. MEV boost needs testing.
Yeah. It's a thing whether you like it or not. And there's some more materials on this. I'll stick something in the next issue. Flashbots has put out some more guides to configuring it. So bottom line is, after the merge, validators like yourself and myself will be block builders, and we can choose to extract MEV or not. And it's pretty much a given that the big operators, Lido and Coinbase and all the rest, will subscribe to MEV. So they'll take advantage of the ability to order transactions in the block to eke out extra value, which might be front running, or it might be more benign things like arbitrage across exchanges, or vault liquidation, or whatever it may be. So there are many different kinds of MEV. So in order to democratize it, so that if only the big boys are doing it, then you and I are at a severe disadvantage, and it just becomes another centralizing force on the network. So in order to democratize this, Flashbots has this architecture whereby block builders, who are not us, who are separate, order the transactions, gain MEV, communicate with seekers, and then offer us a block, and we can say, okay, I'll accept that block, and it's got this much extra value. We sign off on it, and then it gets published to the network. So that's his MEV boost architecture. Yep. You have to run a sort of local sidecar to your validator, which talks through a relay, which you have to register your node with it, and so on. So if you want access to MEV rewards post merge, this is probably going to become the main way to do it.
Yeah, and I think we all recognize, while it is opt-in, it will be very popular. It is this. It's funny because I want to describe it in a way that will just give other people an opportunity to poke holes in it. So I'm not going to do that. I will say the fact that we are having to deal with MEV is not my favorite thing, but I am happy that it's being handled in a way that most democratizes the network. So
yeah, and I hope it works out eventually that we have a number of block builders on the network. I mean, I think a very bad situation is if Flashbots becomes the only block builder on the network, because then it's a single point of failure, and it's also a censorship point.
Yeah.
So in an ideal world, we have multiple block builders, and validators can choose according to their own criteria which one, and you may choose to use a block builder who only uses fair ordering, or a block builder that returns some of the MEV to users, so that when I do a big swap on Uniswap, then the searcher might be able to extract value by sandwich attacking me, but the block builder might return some of that value to me, and we might share it with the searcher, or something like that. There will be all sorts of interesting options out there. I hope we get this big ecosystem of block builders with different approaches, and we can choose according to our own sort of moral compass and concerns about what we do.
Yeah, it's definitely an opportunity for or a growth opportunity for ETH that I really hope we lean into and come out better for in the end. So we'll see, right?
We'll see.
Let's see. I have to click this one. I can't help it. It's my favorite, Ron Paul. And so what I want now is a GIF of Ron Paul being confused, and it says, "Is it happening?" Sorry. So yeah, this one of my games really. I started a GitHub repo, just encouraging people to put organized resources here, because the media will be looking for ways to interpret the merge. If we don't give them something, then they will find some crazy YouTuber to quote. And so it's better that we offer them resources. And if you do contribute to this, you'll get a Git POAP. So
how do you feel it's going?
Oh, it's fine. I don't have wild expectations for it. It's as much as the community wants to contribute is as good as it will be. And so I've learned not to, hang my hat on, or like put my heart into something and hope it goes big. Like if it happens, it's great. And if it gets washed aside, then a lot of people will still get POAPs. I can't even say this. So yeah, it's going to win no matter what.
Yeah, this is great. Love it.
Infura's series of workshops on all aspects of the merge.
This is great. It's I don't know what to say. They've got a whole plan. You can click on something, probably that series of workshops, and it will give you the list of what's happening. There we go. There's the agenda. So tomorrow, July 19th, Solo Stakers Forum, what you need to do to get ready. So this all came out of the fact that a lot of people like myself are plugging their validator into Infura, and using an Eth1 node hosted at Infura. And yeah, we went through weeks, months of discussion about whether post-merge Infura offers the engine API and so on. And yeah, we talked to the Ethereum Foundation about it, and it eventually just took a view that this wasn't the right direction to travel. We need to push back on validators and encourage them to run their own nodes, even if it's contrary to kind of Infura's sort of stated business model. So coming out of that is this series of sessions and workshops on just equipping all aspects of the community on what to expect for the merge, which is great. I love it. I haven't been involved in planning or prepping this at all. I may appear on one at some point, but we'll see.
On accident. Yeah. I love the service that Infura provides, but what I love more than that is seeing developers, implementers, and researchers and private industry leaning into decentralization and saying, while it's an easy service, it's not a decentralized service. So let's lean toward decentralization. So I love to see that.
Yeah, Infura comes in for a lot of criticism, but they're good people. They have good instincts, and this is my kind of view from the inside, as it were.
I would say anybody who criticizes Infura is not acknowledging the benefit they've derived from Infura. So, let's see. Remy Roy and Yorick did a video about what resource or what a solo staker is going to need to do after the merge. I always love these guys. They are so bright and share so well.
Yeah, they're good sessions.
I haven't seen the merge. Oh, Phil. Okay. So this is going to be an awesome resource. Getting Lodestar up for the merge. And do you have thoughts about this in general? About Lodestar, the merge?
Yeah, it's interesting. If you visit the Ethereum Foundation Launchpad, Lodestar is still not listed as one of the 4 consensus clients there. I'm not sure what the thinking is there. I think the Lodestar people view Lodestar as a full production validator client, and would like to see greater adoption. And it's 5 production clients is better than 4.
Do we know, is there a PR to actually add it? We should check on that. Because at least if you submit a PR, either it gets ignored, it gets approved, or it gets denied. At least then it's not so nebulous.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Maybe they're like, well, we would have done it, but nobody submitted a PR. So
yeah, I don't know the answer. It's a good question.
Well, because I've been in the same kind of limbo, watching Lodestar become more and more prepared, and still. I've been saying I'm not ready to promote them publicly until they're included on that launchpad, but by other metrics, by other appearances, they do look ready. So
yeah, I mean, I think for a long time their messaging was, we want to be the kind of in-browser toolkit for doing light client stuff, doing libraries that enable people to write applications around Eth2 stuff. We're not really aiming to be a production client. And so for a couple of years, that was the narrative around Lodestar. And they, talking to the guys there, there seems to be a bit of a pivot more recently that actually they're now, we want to play in the production validator space. Not sure what the background to that is, but yeah, they've got to sort of do a bit more marketing to change mindset around that, I think.
Well, it's interesting you say marketing, because there are people like me who probably ought to be marketing them if they are a full-fledged client, but I'm also, sort of holding back until I see other signals. So I don't know. We'll get there. So yes, I love Bitfly Beacon Chain. This merge checklist is fantastic.
Yeah,
that's a link to me. That's a picture of it. Okay, so I know that. Yeah, this is a great. Just kind of keep up with where you're at.
Yeah, need lots of this. Just constant reminders. There's a whole bunch of stuff to be done before the merge.
Yeah, the more people that put that out in the more different ways, the more it will, kind of sink through, because there are a couple things that need to be done.
And that the rest of that paragraph actually happened. That's not made up story. I was writing that thing about beacon chain, and my phone pinged, and I looked at it. Your validators proposed a block.
Well, I mean, when you're running 12,000 validators, it's probably, that's a joke, by the way. I'm gonna let you talk about this. I'll just listen.
This Lido. Yeah. Okay. What's there about Lido? I've been on the fence about Lido for a long time. We've talked about it before, and I know that you have strong views, and I've sort of perhaps expressed a more moderate view. However, I think more recently, the true colors of the people behind Lido have come out, and I'm referring to the vote they had about looking at ways to self-limit Lido now that they're around 32% of the network, gaining more than 33%. Danny's characterized it as looks like an attack on the protocol. And I sort of expected that there might be a range of views amongst Lido LDO token holders, people who really own the protocol, as it were. That the vote, I was pretty sure that they would vote not to self-limit, but I expected to see maybe 70-30 or 80-20. That at least there were some people in there who had the good of the protocol, the Ethereum protocol, at heart. But it was something like 99.8% or 99.94%, against doing anything to self-limit. And the vote didn't even specify a mechanism to self-limit. It was just, nope, we're not even touching that. We're not even going to talk about it. We're not going to go near it. And that just opened my eyes. The scales fell from my eyes at this point. I thought, these people do not have the interests of Ethereum at heart. I'm not going to give them another break. So that was it. So I've listened to a lot of podcasts recently with Lido people on or about Lido in general, and about this SDETH and whether Lido is a threat to protocol governments. And I was quite pleased to find this Unchained one, which was from last week with Ryan Berkmans and Alexandre Bergeron. There was some good stuff, and not the usual party lines. Some really insightful comments and views. And there's a really good rant from Ryan around 41 minutes in, where he just lays it bare. I think this is going to be a long battle for the soul of Ethereum. Lido centralization is probably the biggest issue ever. He repeats it to pop up. Perhaps the biggest community issue since the DAO fork. I mean, he lays it on thick, but I think, I'm persuaded that it is warranted. Now the question is, what do we do about it? I mean, and it's really hard. I much prefer can't be evil to begging people not to be evil. And we're kind of in a situation of kind of just trusting that people are not going to be evil at this point. It's hard to come up with solutions by which people can't be evil. But seeing the situation for what it is a good first step.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Rant over.
No, that's great. Because I have discovered that I get anxiety when I fight, like that kind of fight. When it's client diversity, and I know we're all winning, and there's no loser. Like no one has to really give up anything. But in this kind of fight, there are people with a lot of money on the line. There are people who expect to profit significantly, and they're not happy if they don't profit. That's not really my kind of battle. So I am appreciative of people like Ryan who are better equipped to fight those battles, because at the end of the day, I'm a community builder. And when it transcends community building, then I'm glad there are people who will take a different and more aggressive stand against things that are dangerous for us. So
yeah, absolutely. So I was very keen to kind of surface that from buried 40 minutes into a podcast, and just say you and I are not the only people saying this. There are other thinkers out there who have a strong view, and the argument is very coherent. I mean, it's much more to it than a few sound bites. There's some deep reflection on what the potential threats are from this cartelization.
At the end of the day, the question becomes, are you here for the success of Ethereum, or are you here to extract value from Ethereum? And I think it's not difficult to tell where this falls, but I'll let people judge that for themselves, right?
Indeed, indeed.
Great explainers. I love this one. I don't know Fubar. I don't know if you do, but
No.
I loved this one.
Yeah, good. Nice high-level overview of everything that's going on. I recognize that diagram may or may not have been lifted from a certain work I'm producing.
That does. Boy, you have actual fonts though, right? But I do love your drawing style. It's sharing. It's public good sharing, right? But yeah, that's a great article. I really encourage others to check it out. And Ladislaus MEV Boost.
Yeah, Ladislaus, known as Ladidan on Twitter, I think, and Reddit is. I met Ladislaus at DevConnect, and what a lovely guy. I mean, we had just such a nice conversation. And yeah, so big fan. So yeah, he picks up this Mev Boost thing and just goes through all of the background. So it's an FAQ on all of the background, what it means for stakers coming, and all of that. So yeah, thoroughly recommend getting familiar with the material here if you are validating on Ethereum. Cool.
I'm looking at these. They look hand-drawn. Then I wonder, is there a tool that creates those to appear hand-drawn? And they're
this is from you can do this with I think it's called diagrams.net now. It used to be draw.io. So if you click sketch mode, then you can do this.
On July 18th, 2022, I realized that those might not be hand done. Okay. Zelic.
So this is about the kind of application layer. What do you're a smart contract developer, or you're building a dApp. What do you need to know about coming out of the merge? And so they've covered that very nicely. It's a great article, and actually covers all the bases. And the bottom line is not very much, but there are a few little corner cases that might be gotchas for your app. So just review the article if that's you, and just check that it's all good.
Okay. And I'm loving Ethereum Pools' discussions about rewards and penalties. So this one is fantastic.
Yeah, this is another win for draw.io, I believe.
Do you mean it's not hand done? I'm such a fool all this time. But let me say, like, people who are afraid to stake from home are generally afraid of the consequences. They're afraid of losing everything. And I think one of the most important messages to get to them is you're not going to lose your stake. You're not, like, worst case scenario is like leaking for a day and losing 0.01 ETH. But I really want to encourage people to not be afraid of what they're going to lose, and instead realize the value and how they're going to support Ethereum.
Absolutely. Yep, spot on.
Like clients, what's this one?
Yeah, another great little thread from Jacek. He does these every now and again, just little explainer threads on Twitter, and they're always worth a read. You'll always learn something. So Nimbus is getting big into light clients now. There's another thread from Jacek today, and yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. So let me tell you, Nimbus is also releasing a Deb installer for their client, which is a thing I have been so eager, like, because it'll set up the system service. That means it'll put everything where it needs to go, and all the user has to do is install the Deb, or even a sudo apt install or a depackage install. So I love for a long time it took me a long time to become endeared to Nimbus, but they are probably the fastest grower in terms of endearment in my mind lately.
Yeah, we have your issue on our backlog, and it's somewhere near the top. But yeah, I can't promise it in the next couple of weeks, but maybe in the next couple of months. If
you want to be on Fizz's good list, all you got to do. Just kidding. Book progress. Congratulations to you. I actually read one of these.
Just plowing on.
I read.
Yeah, I'm working on Casper FFG now, which is fun. That's going to be a big one. So may not be updates for a few weeks, but wrestling with that now.
What would you consider? Would you consider the book to be like one of your major? So obviously, project lead at or project owner at Teku is, you know, one of your big trophies on the mantelpiece. But would you consider the book to be kind of similar, like right beside that?
Yeah, I'm trying to spend about half my time, my work time, on this, and that's got the blessing of my peers and my management, such as it is, and you know, Joe and all of that. So you know, Consensus is supporting this through about half my time there, though you know, it's often evenings and weekends as well. So it you know, it's one of my goals that I'm committed to in my day job to get this out. So yeah, definitely one of the big things.
I love that I almost understand this. That excites me. Anytime I'm reading through this and I'm like, holy crap, I know what he's talking about. I get excited. That doesn't take much. See, Dev Connect Layer 1 workshop is available. That's going to be a YouTube
link. It's been a little while. It's not actually YouTube. Oh, it is YouTube. Sorry, my bad. A bunch of talks there. We had these 2 days of layer 1 things. It goes into quite a lot of detail with sort of devs talking to devs in these ones. But there's a lot of good stuff about what's coming over the next 2-3 years in protocol. So we barely talked about the merge. It was all post-merge stuff. Sure. I did 10 minutes on KZG commitments, and I'm happy to report I've lost 12 pounds since doing that talk, because I look, the camera keeps showing me from a side angle and I'm hanging out all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
It's just appalling. So I've been shamed into losing a few pounds. So
that's great.
I'm on a good trajectory.
I'm at my peak weight today, and I saw some pictures from this weekend, and I thought, you know, it's time to stop, Fizz. So congratulations on 12 pounds. That's awesome.
Yeah, kind of halfway there. It's rough.
I love the cat herders. They put out such quality content.
We always toast the cat herders in these sessions. They're fantastic.
Yes. So thanks for that. And I didn't hear this. I wasn't even aware of it. Tim
it's on my playlist. I haven't heard it yet.
Okay.
Apparently there's lots of good stuff about governance, how Ethereum does governance, and how the beacon chain governance needs to be worked through. So I will, it's on my playlist, probably listen to it tomorrow.
I'm thinking maybe I'll listen on today's walk. Oh, 1 hour. Oh, it's a perfect length for a walk. That's what I'm doing today. And Obal wants to propose changes to the way validators handle aggregation duties. I did consume this.
This is a little bit technical. So this is around what used to be called secret shared validators have now become distributed validator technology. This is where instead of running your keys on a single machine, which is then a single point of failure, you can run a validator which is across maybe 4 machines, and they share keys. So they each have a part of the key, and you use a threshold signature scheme to build. So as long as, say, 3 out of the 4 validators sign off on a transaction, then that gets sent to the network, and it does its work. So you got some redundancy against, you know, a validator going off in a fork or failing it in some way. So there are different ways this can be implemented. They're just kind of working through, it's sort of experimental about how best to implement this. The protocol's designed to make it reasonable to do, but actually the engineering practicalities of quite where you sit the distributed validator client, whether you put it between the signer and the validator client, or between the validator client and the beacon node, and where it does its work, is under discussion. And Obal had a particular view they wanted to, you know, a particular method they wanted to do, but the current way the spec is written makes it difficult. So that's that. Seems to be Danny Ryan has suggested a very practical workaround for this, which needs some minor changes in clients. So we'll probably go with that.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm still, it's funny, as long as DVT solutions, blocks and OBOL have been around quite a while now. And I guess Aditya did the original research, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's been around a while. I still haven't fallen in love. Like I'm still waiting for that that butterflies on my stomach feeling, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, it's coming. Various test nets are being built or have been running for a while, and yeah, it's infrastructure stuff. Yeah.
So yeah, a couple of calls, awkward devs, consensus devs calls. This is the most important link in the entire. You buried the lead. But yeah, your notes about the talk for testnet launch, thanks to Tim. Or well, not testnet, but Gurley and mainnet. So very exciting.
Yep.
And Christine's Twitter notes. I haven't looked at this yet. I've looked at Twitter notes or Christine's
yeah. This is weird. This is bizarre. Writing essays in Twitter, not in linked tweet form, but actually, I haven't come across this before, so I need to look into it. But
this is very interesting to read too.
Yep. Yeah, it's good stuff.
All right. Thank you, Christine. Let's see. Just getting to the end. We know about Infura Solo Stakers Forum. We know about eStakers Validator Merge Prep Shop. Very excited for that. We have, I think the last check, 31,000 people signed up for this. If you know what that means, I know what this means.
There's a POAP.
Yeah, so there are not 31,000 people signed up for this, but whatever.
And presumably something is planned for the Gurley merge event as well. Is Bankless hosting, or
that's the intention. I haven't spoken with David about it in probably 3 weeks, but the last time we chatted about it, we felt like Bankless would host Gurley along with ETHStaker, and then the big pie in the sky is Bankless, Daily Gwei, and ETHStaker all together on the Ethereum Foundation channel, kind of just bringing everyone in the world who cares to one place. In the past, we've ended up having several events, and I think it ends up being confusing, and developers, feel obligated to hop to all the calls. And so by getting it all in one place, I think it will be a great celebration.
Yeah, it definitely helps. I've done that call hopping thing previously. That's rough. Yeah. Great. Look forward to it. That's going to be quite something.
And it's ECC this week, right? Are you
That is right. ECC in Paris. I failed to get a ticket. Their blockchain enabled ticketing solution was a disaster. So anyway, I won't give you the whole sorry story, but I failed to get a ticket. Yeah, it's all happening. I'll catch up with the talks later.
Did you do the traditional, do you know who I am?
If I cared that much, I would have applied to speak at the event. It's fine. It's happening without me, but it's well over 100 of your Fahrenheits in Paris this week, which I'm not built for. So we're quite happy to leave them to it.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. I think that's a wrap.
On Sterium here. I do love their product. Yeah.
Sterium, just kind of chugs along there. They're doing some incredible work. Yeah.
That's if you don't know, and I know you know, Sterium is a fantastic solution for people who don't want to work under the hood with a client UI, but want a graphical installer that is just about staking. So, there's DAppNode and Avado that are kind of multi-purpose. They do a lot of different things, but Sterium is completely focused on graphical staking. So it's a great product, and it's free, totally free. So
yeah. Yep.
All right, Ben, it's been great. I will throw this thing up on YouTube, and have a hot week, my friend.
Thank you, sir. It will indeed be a hot week.